Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Liv, Colouring with Liv, and in today's video I'll be painting a tropical swallowtail moth, and that's in Timea Herczeg's realistic insect colouring book, Butterfly and Moth Species with Names. So if you want to get hold of this book, don't forget to use my affiliate link in the description box below. So I started by heading off to Google Images and having a look at what this moth looks like in real life. Because when I went to Pinterest, I felt like there was too many AI images. So I thought maybe Google Images might give me a more accurate description of what this moth would actually look like. And it was also my first time using gouache. So in my last video, you probably saw me using a little bit of my white gouache, but I didn't have the rest of the colors. And I was thinking that I could probably mix them with my watercolors from my watercolor sets. But I felt like maybe that might be a little bit too much faff and hassle by mixing the watercolors. I don't know. I was just tempted when I was passing through the shop, and I realized that, do you know what? I'm just gonna buy the rest of the colors for with this gouache. And yeah, they like my first impression of the white gouache was that it felt buttery smooth, and I could see it like blend, like wanting to blend with the watercolor pencils that I did in my last coloring. Um, so I thought that it would be quite easy to blend with. Um, and because I have the actual gouache paints, I can use them more like how I would use my acrylic. Um, but when I went to do this page, I felt like I was doing everything a little bit backwards. So I guess I've been used to doing things from dark to light, but I'm trying to adjust my style from like light to dark, especially, using water-based media or even colored pencils, doing skin tones. People suggest going from light to dark. So, yeah, that's what I was trying to aim for here. But I was trying to create a base. So maybe what might have been easier is just to do all one color and then wait for that to dry and then go on top of it rather than doing these streaks. Um, but I guess it made my picture maybe a little bit different, a little bit more flowy, I suppose. Um, but at the time, when I started putting in these streaks to kind of imitate the leaves in the background of the moth for my chosen image, I just kind of felt a little bit like this doesn't really look like what I had imagined in my head. Am I messing up this whole page? And I was thinking, don't worry about the background too much. It's just going to be more of a bit of a blur, and then the moth can have more details on it. And I can, because the paint is opaque, that will just cover up any of the kind of background work that I'm doing on the page at the moment. So yeah, but when I took a step back from it, after playing around with the picture, and I took a break to let everything dry over lunch. Um, I realized actually it looks pretty good. But when the paint did dry, the dry color almost seemed a little bit different to the paint that I was working with, ever so slightly. Not so much on the green. Maybe the green had deepened in color, but the brown, I thought it would be maybe more vibrant, but it seemed to kind of turn out a little bit more chalky, more kind of pale, I guess, with the white that I had mixed to make some of the brown on the moth. It just didn't kind of feel as vibrant as working with watercolors that sometimes yeah. So that's my kind of first impressions of that. Also, I felt like the paint was absorbing into the paper quite quickly. So immediately I felt like I had to work a lot faster. So I was trying to work faster, even though this paint isn't going to dry immediately. You can leave these paints out and just reactivate them with water. But because, like, when I've worked with acrylic paints, when I feel that the paint is drying, I just feel like, okay, the paint's drying, quick, hurry, finish the page before the paint's dry. So I haven't used my retarder for my acrylic paints yet, so I still have that to try out. But yeah, so this with the gouache, I felt like even though it was drying quickly on the paper, it wasn't drying quickly on the palette. And when I took a couple of hours off for lunch, I did put a plate over it to just protect it from any dust particles or from it drying out in a weird way. So because I've seen other people put their gouache in like these kind of ice cube trays. So I thought maybe by putting a plate over the top of it, it might protect it. And then I just go back and just use water as normal. So I don't have a spray bottle, so I couldn't spray my paints, but they seemed fine when I reactivated them. But the only thing is, they did feel a little bit harder to mix. Like the paint and the brush were resisting a little bit to kind of mix. I don't know if that makes sense. It just felt like it wasn't, yeah. Maybe I should have cleaned out my palette. So a few times you'll see me cleaning out the middle section. So I just do that with a kind of squeezed out wet or damp microfiber cloth, and I just scoop that out because with the paper towel it doesn't take off all the paint. So for this July, I was having a look at some coloring groups on Instagram, and I found one hosted by Hollyberry Colors and Piggy Pens, and the theme for this month is Prey versus Predator, or hashtag PreyVPredator, and hashtag Light v Dark 2026. So that's the world's most prolific predators. And as I'm doing a tropical swallowtail moth, I found out that they live in Southeast Asia. They can have a wingspan up to 6 inches wide. So yeah, that's quite big. They are gentle giants. They don't bite, they don't sting or carry diseases. But because of this reason, that makes them very, very much prey to the predators out there, like birds, bats, lizards, ants, wasps, spiders, but mostly to bats. Moths are nocturnal, so yeah, they're preyed upon at night as well as during the day. Because they have no stingers or venom, they just rely completely on blending into the background to their environment and flying away. But because they are quite a massive moth, they are packed with proteins and fats for these bats and birds and lizards. So yeah, but what do the moths eat themselves? Well, they eat caterpillars. They also suck out the nectar out of tropical flowers or rotting fruit, or tree sap to get their energy boost. Yeah, so they are very much a sought after prey. And I was trying to figure out if there are any of these moths or butterflies that are like the most predatorious, but Gemini told me that they are all prey. They so my decision of trying to find the next page to do in this book was maybe not the easiest, but I asked my husband to pick a page for me and he chose this one. And I thought that it was quite perfect because I could do like a brown and green background. Brown is the same color as the moth, so that would kind of make that moth seem like it's trying to blend in with its background. So I thought I could practice that, and also trying to, sometimes I avoid painting things in the same color, like all brown, because I think I'm going to mess it up. But I decided to challenge myself, and especially by using a new medium altogether and working in a style that seemed completely backwards to me as well. Yeah, so it was a challenge. So, but I was quite happy with the result in the end, even though it might take me some practice to get there eventually to enjoy it in the end, because I felt like it was all going wrong and a little bit stressed out, like I was completely messing it up. But I think now that I know that it turned out all right in the end, but then I guess that's me. I always feel like I'm going to mess things up, but I guess it's just really daunting and scary when when you're doing something for the first time. So if you've enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a like, a thumbs up, and a subscribe. And I have some more videos like this where I paint in Timea Herczeg's book of moths and butterflies, and also her mushroom colouring book as well. So I like to use these books kind of in between doing bigger colouring pages, or like, because when I do pages in Kirby's book, I tend to spend a lot more time on it. Well, I just enjoy all his little details but in between, it's nice to have a little bit of a break and kind of readjust my mindset and try something new, maybe try a new technique, a new medium like this one. Today I'm trying gouache. So it just kind of gave me the confidence to think, okay, well, now that I've used gouache, I can try to use it in Kirby's book. So I noticed that at the beginning that I was using maybe a bit too much water to begin with when I was trying to do the wash. So that might work if you're using watercolor paper, but in a coloring book, I think that was because I used that massive flat brush. So that flat brush, I think it was a number 1 medium brush. But yeah, so I won't use that brush. I'll use another like watercolor mop brush that I've used in coloring books before. Yeah, so these pages are quite thick and they're single-sided. Whereas in, for example, Kirby's book, I still want to put a lot more layers of maybe other media or maybe the same media, but more layers. And I just want to make sure that the book will actually handle that. So my point is that maybe I was using the wrong paintbrush. I'm not too sure, but I'm sure that once you find a good paintbrush to work with gouache, it will work how you want it to work. So I guess it's just playing around with it a bit more. You know, like they say, practice makes perfect. And I think that's what I need to do, is just practice a little bit more. And because I only wanted to use gouache on this page, I didn't add any coloring pencils or Posca. I just used gouache to see what that would look like on its own. So I still need to test out how coloring pencils would look like on top of it, but I'm sure I will do that on another coloring page very soon. But I am quite excited at how it will work with watercolor. So that part of things I'm excited to see how that will work. As far as comparing gouache with acrylic, like I said, if you have acrylic, maybe you don't need gouache, but at the same time, if you find that your acrylics dry out too much, then you could buy gouache, or you could buy the anti-dry retarder. So I just bought some of that myself recently, so I still have to check that out to see how that will work together. Yeah, but it doesn't create those like little granules inside of the paint, you know, like when it dries out. So that was a really big plus for me. Yeah, I think it'll be good. So let me know in the comments below if you have used gouache before, and if you have used gouache, what were your first impressions, and what are your impressions now in comparison to the first time that you used it. I would love to hear your thoughts or any tips in general that you have about gouache. I would love to hear it. Yeah. Okay, guys. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Take care. Bye.